These are the three stages: study, practice, experience. Yo gilanang upatheti so mang upatheti. This is also a beautiful saying of the Buddha. A monk was very, very sick, neglected by the other monks and the devotees. There was nobody to attend to him. The Buddha purposely visited this poor monk and he bathed him and changed his clothing, and after that he addressed his disciple. He said, Yo gilanang upatheti so mang upatheti. One who attends the sick or minister the sick, the minister me. That means when you assist a sick person, the Buddha says, you are assisting me, supporting me, attend to me. The way how he appreciated, praised, attending the sick people. These kind of sayings are very important. Again, yo dhammang passati, so mang passati. One who sees my Dhamma sees me, the real Buddha. That means, when you realize the truth or the reality, the absolute truth, the confidence, peace, happiness, satisfaction you gain in your mind, create the real Buddha in your mind. The Buddha is the one who contributed, who has given, or who introduced these facts and reality, truth. Then the real Buddha appear in your mind. Then you know how to appreciate the Buddha. Then you know how to honor him. So these are very important sayings of the Buddha. So I am trying to collect as much as possible simple sayings, and the book will be out, I think, in 2 months' time. Tonight I think I have to complete, otherwise have to at the halfway. We have completed Pranatipata, Adinnadana, Kamesu Michachara. Those who abstain or keep away without violating or breaking the precept or the our religious principles can experience a lot of advantages in worldly sense. Here we do not discuss anything about a spiritual development. What we can see immediately, what we can experience by observing, upholding these noble religious principles. So the fourth one is the most important precept or sila. We introduce this as sila. I think I have explained the meaning of this word, sila. Can you remember? Try whether you got it or not. The meaning of this word, sila. So why do we introduce this as sila? Cannot. Daily? The real meaning of this Pali word, Sanskrit word is Shaili. Shaili. Pali word is Sila. The meaning is natural occurrence. Naturally, these things happen. So when we determine not to do that, then it will become Sila. Example, naturally we are telling lies. Not necessary to learn how to tell lies. Naturally. Small children know how to tell lies. Who taught them? Naturally. They like to kill. He first started killing ants, insects. They enjoy. It is natural. We like to steal, bluff others. Nobody taught us how to do this. It is natural. Now you can understand why we introduce this as Sila. Observance of Sila means the things which happen as our habit, naturally, by knowing the danger of it. We try to observe the principle not to do that, not to violate it. By doing that, we violate the universal law. It is not a law created by a God or Buddha. It is a universal law that it exists. All those who violate this experience the consequences, effect, bad effect. This is the way how the Buddha has introduced the meaning of Sila, observance of Sila. So now, see the difference. All the other existing religions in this world introduce their religious laws, religious commandments or principles or duties for the followers to uphold. Otherwise, if you violate, the God will punish. This is the most important issues in their religion. If you do that, the God will punish you. The Buddha did not try to emphasize, highlight, or to give a due place in Buddhism for this belief. So what he says, if you violate this, naturally you experience the bad effect. Because action and reaction, these two things have no religion. Scientists also accept it. It is scientific interpretation. Action and reaction. Later, religious people accommodated this and introduced as religious laws or religious commandments or religious principles. But this is natural. The belief that people maintain that God has given these laws, religious commandments for you to practice, to observe. When you study the historical background of those religions, how or when or why they introduced these commandments, we can understand. Earlier, before these religions come into existence in this world, human beings realized, they knew that these things are wrong, not because of any divine message or commandment, according to their own experience. That is why the Buddha never mentioned that he got any message from heaven to introduce these religious principles, our own experience. You know how many times I have repeated this saying. Again I am going to repeat. Otherwise you never remember it. What is that? What the Buddha said when he is going to introduce these religious principles. What did he say? He said, it is in Anguttara Nikaya, I am telling you this according to my own experience, remember. Not as a theory, not as a philosophy, not as a message given to me by any supernatural living beings, not as a law. I am telling you how I experienced the good and bad effects. During my previous birth, I have done a lot of bad deeds, because he was not a holy man at the beginning. Attainment of the Buddhahood is the gradual development, life after life. He had three things to do. Reducing all the bad habits. Increasing, developing all the good deeds. And developing and purifying his mind. 3 lines. Went on reducing all the bad deeds, life after life. No one can do that within one lifetime. You can understand according to your own experience. Is it easy for you to reduce or withdraw your jealousy? You know it is wrong. You know that you won't gain anything by harboring, developing this jealousy. But can you withdraw at once? Impossible. You have to struggle for this. If you are hot-tempered, suddenly your anger flare up. You have no courage to control your mind. Then at that time the words come out from your mouth just like bullet from a machine gun, hurt others' feelings. And whatever you do at that time become very nasty action. Well, you know this very well. So what guarantee is there that you never show your temper next time? This is more than enough for you to understand how difficult it is for a person to be a perfect human being. Some people, when they talk about Buddhism, they say just recite this mantra, just worship 1,000 times, you gain sudden enlightenment. You can throw away all these things, anger, jealousy, pride and greed and everything from your mind, wash away. So easy. If it is so easy, why that poor Buddha had to suffer life after life to cultivate his way of life, to gain this enlightenment? If there is any shortcut. So lazy people have discovered this shortcut to gain enlightenment, and enjoy their life. They mislead innocent people. It is very, very difficult. So by observing these precepts, what we are trying to do actually, by knowing, by nature, we are bad. We have to admit. We are not good people. By nature, we are not good people. Then we realized we are bad. Then we try to be good. If we are not bad, there is no reason for us to be good. By observing these precepts, we try to be good. To be good means try not to do bad things. Try to do something for others. Then slowly we can gain perfection, then enlightenment. So the precept, the morals or sila, the principles that we observe, cultivate our way of life, purify our own mind, and we allow others also to live peacefully, not only for our own benefit. So this, the fourth precept, is the most difficult thing, or the precept, or the sila, for us to observe. Telling lies. Very difficult. I do not know whether you can remember that I have told you. The Buddha, although he has violated some of these precepts during his previous birth, when he was a worldly man, he says, from the very day that I created this determination in my mind that I want to become a Buddha, 3 ways he started. The first, Mano Panidhana, then Vachi Panidhana, then Kaya Panidhana. Mano Panidhana, only in the mind. Others do not know. He keeps this in his mind that I want to cultivate my way of life to become a Buddha. Then went on. After that, he was known as Bodhisattva. Then he started to tell others, announce, I am doing all these things. I observe religious way of life, try to be good in order to become a Buddha. Second period, Vachi Panidhaya, announced. After that, he tried not to misuse, not to abuse this word. Then, last stage is Kaya Panidhana. By using his physical body, doing some service to others, to relieve others' sufferings, he observed the precept, cultivated his life. But in between, life after life, there were many occasions where he has committed certain bad karma, certain bad deeds. Then rebirth has taken place as animals. Some of the Jataka stories tell us Once he was born as a peacock, again as an elephant, a lion, a squirrel, fish, animals. Just because he has cultivated his way of life, very easily he could manage to come back to the same human life. If an ordinary person had to face this problem, it's very difficult to come back. It may take long period. Then, although I have violated some of these precepts, this particular precept, from that day onward, the day that I decided, created my aspirations or determination to become a Buddha, I did not violate this principle of telling lies, not to misuse, not to abuse his tongue or his words. This is the secret that many people cannot understand. The word uttered by the Buddha more than 2,500 years ago, and we utter again, we repeat again, to do some service to others. On many occasions, when somebody is sick, we utter the same word used by the Buddha. We don't use any other language or translation for that. We want to use the same words that come out from the Buddha's mouth. Same language. When there is a death, we go and recite something by using the same word. When somebody is worried or fear and tension, we recite something. When there are some evil spirit or disturbances, external disturbances, we use some of these words uttered by the Buddha. When bad planets influence people to create troubles and problems and sicknesses, we recite these words. Effective all over the world. So, people have great faith and confidence according to their own experience. That is the secret. Because there's nobody else in this world who can utter such words. That either within this lifetime or during previous birth, I never uttered a lie. Can I say? Can you say? Impossible. But the Buddha, he knew. He upheld this particular principle. The power of the Buddha words depend on this. That mouth that he used to utter these words, never misused, never polluted. After his death, you know, when the Buddha was alive, there were only few Buddhists in India. It has taken few hundred years in India for people to understand, to accept what the Buddha said. At the beginning, they could not understand. And he has revolutionized, completely changed religious way of life. Many people could not accept. Many people wanted to challenge. some others accusing. People were not happy because the Buddha did not encourage people to follow the same age-old Indian tradition as Buddhism. Otherwise, there is no reason for Buddha to preach in the name of Buddhism another religion. Why not to follow the same system, same tradition, same philosophy, same way of life? That is how another religion come into existence as Buddhism. Of course, there were many existing noble truths in Indian philosophy, doctrine and religion. He accepted all these existing truths. Karma, dharma, nirvana, all these words, belief, existed in India, not created by the Buddha. But he has given very refined, rational, very wide interpretation without following the same traditional interpretation. That is why you can see the difference when we talk about Hindu concept of karma and Buddhist concept of karma. Hindu concept of dharma and Buddhist concept of dharma. Hindu concept of nirvana, Buddhist concept of nirvana. Differences are there. So, after his death, many of those kings or the rulers and the ministers were assembled to pay their respect, knowing this is a great religious teacher. Although they were not Buddhist. There's a one voice. What did they say? They knew this. This is the dead body of a man who never uttered a lie. They knew this. That's why they had high regard on him. Can we say when another great man died, oh, this is the dead body of a great man who never uttered a lie? That reputation was there. After his cremation, they have collected the ashes, having heard that the Buddha has passed away and cremated. Now they are going to share or to distribute the ashes. There are so many kingdoms. Here in this small country, we have 9 kingdoms within 9 states. What about such a great land like India? How many kingdoms were there at that time? So many of those rulers, or not the ministers, also assembled there, saying that they also want a share to enshrine in their kingdom. And another group says, we are related to the Buddha. We want more, bigger share. Another group came, his mother's kingdom and the father's kingdom, 2 kingdoms. We also want bigger share. Very big commotion, argument, heated argument. Now they are going to fight for the sake of the Buddha's ashes, the relics. At that time, an old man, a Brahmi, he was not a Buddhist. He also went to see what is happening there. But this man was respected by others. When he knew that any moment there will be very big upheaval, they are going to attack each other to take the big portion of the Buddha's ashes. Then he said, Sunantu bhonto mama eka vakyang Ammak buddho khalu khantvadi. Listen, my dear friend. Listen, my dear friend. Ammak buddho, our Buddha, is Khantivadi, Kshantivadi, who introduced peace, non-violence amongst the mankind. Are we going to create these disturbances, create violence and bloodshed in the name of such great teacher who introduced peace and non-violence? Everybody had to surrender to that old man. Then he said, all right, now you must measure, divide. All right, equally. He divided. Okay, this is your share, this is your share. He had a small vessel. After that, nothing for him. He said, I also like to enshrine something in my kingdom. He has come from another state. Nothing. Then he said, all right, this is enough for me. The vessel he used to measure the assets. I regard this as a holy object. I enshrine this in my kingdom. The reputation created by the Buddha, the followers of other religions also come and respected him in this way. So what I am trying to tell you, by upholding only this particular precept, I have told you, by knowing the difficulty of observing all these 5 precepts, because you are dealing with worldly life, associating with all sorts of people, different walk of life, temperament, attitude, way of life. To support your families, to fulfill your duties and obligations and responsibilities, to enjoy your life, you have to do certain things, although you know these things are wrong. Now this is the problem we are facing. It is true. You try to be good, we know that. You try to be religious, we know that. You try to follow the Buddha's advice, yes. But circumstances, environment, your way of life, your family life, your household life, your obligations, responsibilities, encourage you to commit certain things. Now this is the problem we are facing. It's very easy for us to come and tell you, don't kill, don't steal, don't tell lies, don't do this, don't drink, don't enjoy. Very easy for us to tell. But we also must understand the difficulty when we want to live a worldly life. Sambadhoyam gharavasa. Gharavasa means household life. Sambad, lot of disturbances, lot of calamities, problems, if you really want to lead the household life. Household life is not free from disturbances, worries, responsibilities, then easy to get angry and naturally develop jealousy. Circumstances create all this. You want to control your mind, but family atmosphere, environment, the place you work, irritate you, disturb your mind, then you have no other choice. You should not get fed up, thinking that you cannot practice Buddhism. Refer to the Buddha. During the previous birth, he also has done a lot of bad things. So my duty is train and train and train. One day I will be able to overcome this problem. Then you will win the battle. Don't give up hope. Then Rajasayatanang, household life, business life, creates so many dirty things, pollutes the mind. You develop your selfishness, your greed, your craze. You develop your jealousy and anger because of your businesses, because of your work, because of your housework. You cannot keep away from all these things. Those who renounce this household life will be free because they have no commitment. Environment does not disturb them. They find out a very congenial, suitable environment for them to carry on their way of life. That is the meaning of renunciation. So, these are the good results or the effects that you can experience if you can keep away from this by knowing that it is bad. Try as much as possible. First thing, if you maintain your dignity by upholding this religious principle, what will happen? You gain in the next birth onward. When rebirth takes place, you get very beautiful mouth. Not necessary to apply all sorts of things. Naturally, the shape of the mouth is very beautiful. So when you look at a person and the formation of the mouth, the lips and the size of the mouth and the lips and all these things indicate something that person's character. Next one, those who observe this precept gain very beautiful set of teeth, not only one but two sets, and white color. You know the formations of teeth also. You have to go to a dentist, you have to spend so much to adjust, to make beautiful the formation. But there are people by birth, by nature, the formation has taken place very beautiful. The Buddha had, how many teeth he had in his mouth? Visati Seta Sudanto. Visati means 20. Visati and Visati. Altogether 40. 40 teeth. In our case, how many? 32, isn't it? 32. That means the Buddha's mouth is very big. 40 teeth. That's how he could manage to talk a lot for 45 years without stopping. Beautiful teeth. The formations of the teeth also support us to talk, to get the correct pronunciation. Because we have seen some people, the teeth bent in this way. Difficult for them to talk. And some people it's this way upward. The formations of teeth also very important to pronounce the words. Next one, the power of speech that attracts the attention of the people. So when that person talks, the word, the voice, or the pronunciation influence the other's mind, attract, and they pay attention very mindfully. Otherwise, they never give ears. The voice, pronunciation, presentation. Even in the Buddha's teaching, it is mentioned. The two qualities are important for a preacher. If these two qualities are not there, whatever he preaches, people do not pay attention. Rupapasanna, Saddapasanna. Rupa and Sadda. These two things must be there. The person who talks or preaches must have some sort of personality. Otherwise, people do not care. Second thing, must have clear voice. If the voice is dull, not pleasing to their ears, they do not pay attention. The knowledge, the wisdom, ideas will be wonderful, remarkable, but no personality, no voice, no effect. So, when you keep away from telling lies, we get very nice, beautiful mouth, nice set of teeth, and nice voice, and clear voice. Having the power of speech that is persuasive, logical argument. You know, some people are very talented. It's very difficult to argue. Knowledge is not very deep, but art of talking is very advanced. In simple language, very talkative. They know what to say, but many others know, but do not know what to say. This is the problem. Not necessary to think, immediately get the answer. Argument. So we cannot argue. Although our knowledge is very deep, we know more than the other person. The other person knows only little bit, but he knows how to talk. So he can topple you. Talent is there. So we get that. To talk logically, then others cannot defeat us in our argument. When we want to present some ideas, we can do that logically or reasonable way without talking rubbish. Human beings are the only living beings who tell lies. Others do not know how to tell lies. Animals cannot tell lies because they are innocent. They do not know how to do that. And Devas and Brahmas never tell lies. Do you remember the three qualities that I have explained we need to go to heaven? What are those three? Satsang Bane, tell the truth. First quality. If you want to go to heaven, you have to observe this. By violating this, you can go and pray to any god, any Buddha, you won't get the chance to go there. Even without praying to anybody, if you observe this, you can go to heaven. Satsang Bane. What is the next one? Nakujjaya. Don't get angry. Don't show your anger. Don't create disturbances by showing your anger. Control your anger. Here, the Buddha also used very, very carefully the word. Because he knew it is impossible for you to withdraw your anger at once. His advice is, don't show your anger. Try to control your anger. Na kujjaya, don't get angry. Na kujjaya, don't get angry. Don't show your anger. What is the last one? Dajja pasmin piyajito. This is in Dhammapada. Don't be stingy. Don't be selfish. Contribute something. Reduce your greed. Reduce your selfishness. Only these three things. Here, Devas also never tell lies. Brahmas also never tell lies. Then the ghost or a spirit or devil, if they exist, I do not know whether they exist or not, if they do exist, they also never tell lies. Then who tells the lies? We are the one, nobody else. Do you know the reason why? Can you answer this question? Others cannot tell lies, but we can. What is the reason? Actually, it is the development of our mind, our brain. Development. But this development has taken place with selfishness and cunningness. These two things also increase. When the brains or the mind started to develop, and selfishness, cunningness also increase, so many degrees. But in other living beings, these two things are not very advanced, selfishness and cunningness. That is why always we tell lies. So what we are trying to do? By knowing this weakness, it is a weakness. So we are the one who create enormous troubles in this world, not the others. That is why we need a religion. Because animals can follow the nature. They lead a natural life. It is not necessary for them to have a religion. We need. Religion is needed because of this weakness. To reduce these two things. That we increase, develop selfishness and cunningness. All the other defilements appear because of them. Selfishness means greed, desire. Cunningness, desire. The Buddha also started from craving. See? So, by realizing this, following a religion, we try to train that polluted mind. Mind is polluted because of this. So we try to cleanse by reducing, wipe out dirt in the mind. Only religion can do that. No any other method. So this is the most important thing. Truthfulness. Honest. Honesty. If honesty is there, we can avoid all the other weaknesses also. Naturally. We can cultivate good qualities. By observing this precept, we get a clear mind. Can avoid confusion and illusion or hallucination, because many people cannot get the clear vision of anything. Always they create a wrong concept, wrong idea, cannot decide, cannot accept, cannot understand whether right or wrong, this or that. By observing this, because when we try to observe this, we do not develop cunningness. So when we reduce cunningness, the purity remains in the mind. When rebirth takes place, in that consciousness there is no cunningness. Then we get back the clear mind there. It's very reasonable. So many others cannot understand things, always confusion, misunderstanding, lead a very uncertain or miserable life. No happiness, because no confidence. The next one is about the tongue, the formations of the tongue, the color of the tongue, reddish color and pink. If the tongue is very thick, cannot talk, cannot pronounce the words. I don't know whether you notice this. Some people cannot pronounce the words and watch the tongue, very thick. If the tongue is thin, very easy to bend here and there, and pronunciation becomes very clear. So, you get thin and reddish color tongue. Because tongue is responsible for the words. Well proportionate physical body. All the features from head to the feet. The formations of the structure and all the features, complexion. So when we develop honesty, sincerity, we can see some sort of appearance or the outlook of serenity in that person. If we are not honest or cunning or selfish, we cannot find that serenity in that person's face. Noticeable features, appearance or the outlook. There are many. Even modern psychology also contributes to support this. The formation of our face takes place according to our mentality. Now look at the face of those gangsters and those who break the prison pole and run away. When their pictures appear in the newspaper, look at their face. Because the formation, the shape, has taken place according to their way of thinking. All the while cruelty, anger, cunningness, selfishness, no good thought, no compassion, no honesty, no sympathy, no understanding. Good qualities never appeared in their mind. So the shape or the features, the complexion also change according to our mind. So the size of the body neither very tall like me. I think I have uttered a lot of lies during my previous birth. I am very tall. And neither very short, neither tall nor very short, medium size, physical body. Then, whenever this person talks, always the sweet words and gentleness and clear pronunciation, these qualities are there. We have seen when some people talk, the words are very rough and rude and vulgar. To them, there is no such feeling, because that is their habit. But some others, when they talk, they choose suitable words, not to hurt others' feelings. And the voice, pronunciation, also very soothing to our ears, not irritating, never disturbed. They are very cultured, mind also cultured, the way of talking also cultured, and way of doing things also cultured, systematically. So these things we cannot train at once. So we continue life after life according to our way of life. So when you observe some of these good qualities, then the physical appearance, here we are talking only about the formation of the physical body, our attitude, appearance. Did not emphasize very much about the mental attitude, how the formations of our mind take place. So when you study Abhidhamma, then you can understand why these evil thoughts, wicked and dangerous thoughts, ideas appear in our mind, why these good thoughts appear in our mind, why it is difficult for us to cultivate good thoughts, why it is so easy for us to create bad thoughts. Abhidhamma is for that purpose, to understand the mental aspect. Yes, I think enough for the day. So try to guard your tongue as much as possible. That's why the nice sayings of the Buddha. If there is nothing very important subject for you to talk, better to observe golden silence. Arya va tunhi bhavena. Arya means noble, golden. Tunhi bhava means silence. If there is nothing very important thing for you to talk, better to keep quiet. Akasattha Jabumutta Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantang Anumuditva Chirang Rakkantu Lokasasanang Ittavata Chammehi Sambhatang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Namudantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Vasatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetu Che Pito Bhavatu Loko Che Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idango Jati Nango Tu Sukita Untu Nyahato Vimina Punya Kammena Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Tuya Nibbana Pattiya